Hello there. In this video, we're going to be discussing how to develop a multi-response question or item for your item bank assessments. So I'm going to be in my assessment screen where it lists the name of my assessment, which our name is PD menu, moving beyond multiple choice. We want to make sure that we're in the correct assessment because that's where your item that you're creating is going to be placed. So we're going to go to the top right of our screen and we're going to look at you hitting the create button, and we're going to hit items, create items, and it's going to take us to our screen. We want to make sure that we're in the right workspace, so which is your workspace, my workspace. That's where the item will be published. I have several workspaces, but the one that I publish in a lot is the my workspace. So that's the one you'll publish in. The item name, we're going to just keep it simple for our purposes today, and we're going to hit multi-response. And we're going to pick the subject area, which is going to be math. And we're going to pick third grade. And we're going to go down the list here. And we're not going to worry about course group or course, but we are going to choose the item type. The item type that we're looking for, obviously this is important to know, is multi-response. You're going to see an O and a P next to it in parentheses. That means you can deliver this online or on paper. It's much better to look online for the student, but you do have the option of doing it on paper also. So the item type we're going to select is multi-response. Not going to worry about an alternative grouping. Pilot item, interesting enough. With pilot item, once again, if you've watched, this is the second or third video you've watched, or the first one. Pilot item simply is if you wanted to see if the test question was an effective one, you could give this to your students without actually awarding points, and it wouldn't go into their overall score. So you could treat it as, oh, let's see if this is a good question. The question itself, I'm going to make it kind of simple here. Select all. And I do like to highlight all only because I want to make sure that the students know that they need to select all and not just one, because it is a multi-response question. So we want to select all shapes that are quadrilaterals. You could put select the number of shapes, 2, 3, whatever it is. You can award partial credit if you want to. If a student gets one of the shapes correct, but not all of them, you can certainly do that, or you can toggle this switch, and I'll show you what that does here in a second. But if you had a rubric that you wanted to attach for this particular question, because we're just selecting, you don't necessarily need a rubric. You can include a sample response if you wanted to, but it's not a constructed response. You're selecting the item that you want. So let's put your answer choices. Remember, you get to choose the number of answer choices you want. You can select it here, where you can pick how many answer choices you want. You want 4, you want 5, or you can add the choice down here. And if you add the choice, you're like, oh no, I don't want 5, then you can just go to this little trash icon here and get rid of that choice. So we're going to go ahead and put quadrilaterals in here. So we're going to put a couple quadrilaterals. We're going to put and then we're going to put one more here. So in this particular case, you'll see that your 2 correct answers are here and here. Now, if you wanted to award partial credit, which we were talking about before, we could say this whole question is worth 2 points. But if you wanted to award partial credit, you can do that and click off or toggle that switch. Once you toggle that switch, then you would have to award points to each individual question. So if a student picked squares but didn't pick rectangles, then they would only get 1 out of 2 points. If you don't want to do partial credit, you just toggle that switch back and it'll eliminate the partial credit. Once you've done that, you want to make sure that you hit save. Once you hit save, you'll see that item info saved successfully. If you don't see that, you forget to put points in or you forget to award points, it'll tell you and you won't be able to save it. So it'll take you back where you have to go in and you have to fill in the rest of the items. Once you've hit saved and it's saved successfully, you can hit the next button. It'll take you to the standard screen where you want to award a standard. Now, you can certainly not award a standard, but that's not what you really want to do if you're trying to test and measure standards. So you want to make sure that you select what it is. We picked grade 3 and it's geometry. It's understanding shapes in different categories. So we're going to check that box. We're going to hit the next button. It's going to take you to the actual properties of that item. Now, these properties you're going to see look familiar if you ever created an item bank assessment. You're thinking, oh, I got to do those now. Now, this is for the specific item. So if you're attaching these options to that item, you want to attach it to your overall assessment. So I don't use these tools for individual items. Now, you can certainly do that for an individual item if you'd want, but I figured you want these tools on your overall assessment. Once you've done that, you can go down here and you can definitely select Bloom's taxonomy and you can choose whatever it is. So remember, depth of knowledge is recall. Difficulty level, you can certainly incorporate that. You can leave these blank and you can still save it. It's up to you. But once you get to the next screen, it might be useful information because when we look at the preview of the item, select all shapes that are quadrilaterals. You see that it looks good to me, but it gives you the item properties. It gives you the type of item it is. It gives you whether it was a pilot item, what grade, the subject, administration method, and it also gives you whether you chose partial credit and the depth of knowledge and so forth. Once you've done that, you hit publish and exit. You go publish it in your workspace where we're living right now. Now that it's published, you say, well, I want to make sure it's on my assessment. Well, it's automatically there. So if we go back to our items, we've got a few items that we've already created in this assessment. So I'm going down, there's a multi-part one, there's an inline choice one, and there's also another multi-part one, and there is the one that I'm looking for, my multi-response one. And that's what the item actually looks like. And you can always hit this little eye icon to preview it if you'd like. I hope you found this video helpful, and we'll talk to you soon.